Hello everyone, it's Theme Avenue, I'm Eric. Welcome to Epic Universe Reviews, a series of videos reviewing each of the 11 rides at the all-new Universal's Epic Universe theme park at Universal Orlando Resort. In each video, I will talk through my experience on one of the rides, provide useful information about it, and give some final thoughts on how good the ride is. For the 10th and penultimate video in this series, I am reviewing Constellation Carousel. Spoilers for the carousel incoming. I went to Epic Universe expecting this to be my least favorite ride in the park, and I saved it for last as a result. I rode Battle the Ministry before, but I got stuck on the ride 10 seconds in, so I didn't complete that one till later. That's why I'm doing this one first. Fortunately, this ride does have some interesting elements, and I think it is a little more noteworthy than most carousels. There's not as much to talk about as usual, but let's jump right in anyway. Walking up to this ride immediately demonstrates its beautiful appearance. The ride's aesthetics fit Celestial Park well, and they're quite creative. I enjoy the design of the exterior, and that design does continue to the interior of the ride. The queue is entirely unthemed, but you can watch the carousel from the queue, and that is very nice. The design of the carousel itself is not only beautiful, but also shows how unique the ride is compared to traditional carousels. First off, there are no horses. Instead, the animals are all based on constellations, such as Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Aries, the Ram. I guess they intentionally left off horses even though Pegasus is a famous horse constellation, but the animals all look great, and this ride did teach me about the existence of a peacock constellation. Other unique elements of this include the mechanism for the carousel. The thing that moves the carousel up and down typically is connected to the ceiling and the floor. On this ride, it is not connected to the ceiling at all. The mechanisms are entirely under the base of the ride, leading to lots of extra theming opportunities. The rods sticking up from the animals have orbs on top of them resembling planets, and they change color throughout the ride. Additionally, the ceiling is very elaborately themed, with several moving parts meant to represent the Chronos to a certain degree. It all looks like different astro blades, and it is gorgeous. The appearance does help the ride stand above most of its kind. The other key thing that this carousel has above most others is the wait time. The capacity seems lower than some standard merry-go-rounds due to having a more spacious base and therefore less animals. That said, the workers weren't exactly loading the carousel at top speed. A flat ride like this generally will take longer to check though, because instead of just going along a track like a roller coaster, checking each row at a time, these are all individual seats and you have to circumnavigate the entire thing to check every single seat. So unfortunately, the ride just can't load that fast. The line was about 25 minutes long for me despite only 3 cycles happening before mine, so we were averaging around 8-minute cycles, and when the ride itself is just 2 minutes, that means it took around 6 minutes to load. One thing that might help keep the wait down though, is that the animals can fit 2 people each. There are 2 seats, so if you have a party of 4, you can pair up and take just 2 animals instead of each taking your own and getting that up to 4. Most will take their own animals anyway, but I think it's more fun to ride with your friends and family, and I'm very happy I chose to double up. Now that we've discussed the waiting experience, we can talk about the ride. I saw 2 full ride cycles from a close distance before I actually rode, and then I rode the carousel for myself. This is how I learned about another feature that makes this ride both better and worse. Constellation Carousel has multiple programs. By that I mean, all 3 cycles I witnessed/experienced had different music and movement patterns for the animals. This is a great feature. It means the ride is more worth doing multiple times. If you can get a different experience each time, it's not as much of a one and done. However, there is a big issue I have with the existence of multiple programs, that being that the first one I saw is so much better than the other 2. The latter 2, including the one I experienced, had aimless movement patterns for the animals and very standard whimsical music. Not bad, but the first one I saw was freaking awesome. The music was jazzy and lively, and the ride moved like a normal carousel for the first half. Then the music died down a little bit, and you finally start going backwards like it's a big reveal. If I got that version for my ride, it would instantly be a top 2 carousel I've ever done, no doubt. Alas, I didn't get that one, so it's harder for me to judge. I do consider that version's existence in the overall thoughts as I did see it happen, but I really wish the other versions were equally fun and memorable. It might also be nice if they cut out one of the whimsical ones, because those are far less distinguishable from each other, and giving people the opportunity to ride the best version by far would be a lot nicer. Then again, others may prefer that quiet, uplifting music to the epic party mode, so this could just be a me thing. Either way, it's time to talk about the experience I did get. The ride begins and the music is certainly nice. The animals can rotate 360 degrees, and they are on spinning platforms within the main spinning platform, allowing for even more variation in the movements. The spinning is gentle so you don't get dizzy from the ride, and I enjoy that when you spin around you can see the animals behind you. Most carousels you can't do that because, well, the animals are behind you, so you have to turn your head around. But here you get full 360 degree views of the entire carousel. The ride cycle is about 2.5 minutes, so not super long, but there's only so much a carousel one can do, so it makes sense it wouldn't be a super long cycle. What else can I say about this ride? It's a carousel. Carousels are fun, but they're not super fun. This one is slightly elevated by the extensive range of motion and sometimes its music. The main thing that really does set it apart is that appearance. However, it is still a carousel. Overall, I certainly like Constellation Carousel. I'm very happy the park has it, and it's probably the best of these standard flat rides in the entire resort in terms of how much it improves upon the original type. I do wish it was always as fun as that first cycle was though. That's why it's only my second favorite carousel. I prefer Cedar Downs at Cedar Point. That one sells the theme of a high-energy horse race. This one sells a pleasant celestial theme, but the space party angle is so much more interesting to me, and the whimsical ride I actually got is just not as fun. However, I would love to experience the space party mode, so I suppose Universal did successfully make a carousel that's not a one-and-done ride. To end this review, I will be giving the ride a number score out of 10. A 1 means it is among the absolute worst of Universal attractions, such as Fast and Furious Supercharged. A 10 means it is among the absolute best, such as Velocicoaster or Spider-Man. Those scores are just my opinion, as is the score for Constellation Carousel. I will be giving Constellation Carousel a 5 out of 10. That might sound negative, it is technically below average, but when you look at other Universal attractions, this was not built to be a 10. If I was scoring based on only carousels, this would be a 9 out of 10 carousel. But next to the rest of Epic Universe's rides, this still falls pretty low. That said, I see people give it a 7 out of 10 if not higher, so you just might love this ride if you give it a chance. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below your questions about Constellation Carousel, and stay tuned for the final Epic Universe review of Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry. Subscribe for more videos, I'll see you next time.